Hi, my name is Renee Rizzo. This will be a teacher facing video which will guide you through my adaptation of a small portion of Living Environment Unit 7, Day 17, Modern Day Cultural Evolution, which I have elected to break down into three smaller parts to accommodate the unique learning needs of students in alternate assessment settings. So, this particular lesson is living environment, cultural evolution, color naming patterns around the world. The focus question, which I developed based on the content of this particular lesson, is how can modern day cultural evolution be measured in color naming patterns around the world? The Next Generation Learning Standard addressed for grades 11 through 12, RST 7. Integrate and evaluate multiple sources of information presented in diverse media formats and media, e.g., quantitative data, video, multimedia, in order to address a question or solve a problem. The DLM essential element for grades 11 through 12 addressed is 11 through 12.7. Analyze information presented in different media on related topics to answer questions or solve problems. The vocabulary, which I would introduce and define for students to increase the likelihood that they will comprehend. The context of this lesson is cultural evolution, how way of life changes over time. The next thing that you will show the students is the Vox video on YouTube, the surprising pattern behind color naming around the world. And this video was one of 4 or 5 videos embedded in the original modern day cultural evolution lesson in the Teach Hub. But I've decided to build this entire adapted lesson around this one video about color naming patterns around the world. So these are questions that I developed based on this video. According to research into color naming patterns, which colors usually get named first within a language? A, red and yellow, B, black and white, or C, blue and green? So according to the video, the correct answer here would be B, black and white. The next question. Do all languages have the same basic number of color categories? And this question really speaks to what is mainly gone over in this video. The answer is no. Not all languages have the same basic number of color categories. So you might think that it's just color words that are translated differently into different languages, but in fact, it's the way color categories are conceptualized. Next question. How many basic color categories do we have in English? A3, B11, C13. So the correct answer here, according to the video, is B11. And if students do not get this particular question correctly or any of the others, I would definitely recommend that you go back into the video and show students where it says this particular piece of information. The next question. How many basic colors are there in the Wobe language? A3, B4, or C5? The correct answer here being A3. Next, why do researchers think a word for red would come before a word for blue in most languages? A, red is in blood and dirt. B, red expresses more passion. C, red is a more beautiful color. So, for this particular question, you can explain to students that the answers for B and C are more of opinions than facts. Maybe not everybody believes that red expresses more passion or that red is a more beautiful color. But red is definitely A, found in blood and dirt. And they went over in the video why researchers think the word would come before the word blue in most languages because red is seen more often in the natural world. And that's where our color naming patterns will focus on first, what we see more often in the natural world. So the next question. What is the main idea of this video? And I think this is a really good question to ask students, especially students in alternate assessment settings, because identifying the main idea of informational texts is a skill that we often are trying to work on with them. So the choices are A, all people around the world name colors in exactly the same way. B, no two countries name colors in precisely the same way. Or C, despite our many differences, cultures tend to name colors in a similar pattern. So the correct answer here is C. Despite our many differences, cultures tend to name colors in a similar pattern. A would not be correct because all people do not name colors in exactly the same way. And that was the whole point of this video, right? Is that there are differences. And B would not be correct because it's not true that no two countries name colors in precisely the same way. There are plenty of countries who do subscribe to the same way of naming colors. So, for the conclusion discussion question of this lesson, I would talk about with your students what have you learned about cultural evolution in this lesson? And you would hope that student responses are directly tied to color naming patterns around the world and how they vary, but follow a similar order of color naming. So, just to review, this was a teacher facing video which guided you through my adaptation of a small portion of Living Environment, Unit 7, Day 17, Modern Day Cultural Evolution, which I elected to break down into three smaller parts to accommodate the unique learning needs of students in alternate assessment settings. This particular lesson was about color naming patterns around the world. Thank you for watching.